Hey Shannon. Hey Coco. Hey guys. I'm so tired. My head hurt. My sinus is bothering me. I am. I'm drained. My head hurts so bad. My sinuses is bothering me right now, right here. My face and stuff. Got a headache. Hey Pumpkin. Hey Steph. Steph, I haven't forgotten that. When I get home, I'll do it. My head hurts so bad, y'all. I think I'm gonna have to take some sinus medicine because I feel the sinus pressure all on my face. Hey Bev, good night, Bev. Thanks, Bev. My sinus is bothering me so bad, y'all. Sinus is horrible. Hurt. No, I'm gonna do it because it's not gonna be that long. What I gotta show you. It's just my sinuses. Ugh. My head's been hurting all day long. VK, you watched it on Court TV? Yeah, I noticed Court TV still deleting my message. I'm not going back on there no more. They still deleting my message over there. I don't understand it. If I'm so small, why do you feel the need to delete me? Obviously, I must be a threat to you. Because why do you have to delete my message? Thanks, Bev. I don't have my thing to hit my tiling. Thank you, Bev. I don't have my hitter, my thing to hit yeah, I don't know it. It's always somebody. And the prosecutor saw me today. She says, "Oh, I know you." I know they got 4 million subscribers on their channel, and they don't want anybody coming to me. Why? I'm such a small little channel. You're a big company. A big, huge company. I'm not infamous no more, Sierra. See, I don't understand it. I don't understand it myself. Why such a big channel have feel that I'm a threat. I'm not a threat. For the marches, they keep deleting my message. I was like, wow, that's very nasty, but that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. y'all, my sinuses are bothering me so bad. Thug's attorney has filed a motion for a bond for Thug. So we're gonna read the bond later on when I get inside the house. We're gonna read the bond. Hey, Lady Coltrane. The news lady today asked me, one of the news lady today asked me, so, you're not getting paid for this? I said, no. She said, she loved my dedication. Love my dedication. But y'all, my head hurting so bad. Oh my God, my sinus hurting so bad. Sinuses. I'm gonna take me some sinus medicine. Hopefully the pressure, it's like the pressure on like my nose and stuff right here. It's like so much pressure, it hurts so bad. And it's been like that all day long. Yeah, I'm gonna use my mask today. Yep, sure am. I'm gonna use my mask. Sure am. No, Flonase don't work for me. I used to be on that a long time ago. I'm gonna use my mask. Thank you, Ashley. I sure am gonna put my mask on today because I feel the pain. Hey Trissy, I got your message. Hey y'all, did that link work for my Temu? Did the link work for you guys, the ones that's been trying to get purchase stuff? Did the link work? Because I told them it didn't work, so they're supposed to be sending me something that's corrected. Oh, it worked for you? Okay, all right. It worked for you too, Black Beauty? Okay. Continue to use that, y'all. Y'all gonna get discount off of it. It didn't work for you, Trissy? Cam, can you put the link in there? Or Black Beauty, could you put the link in the chat? Hey, Sammy. What's going on, Sammy? What link I'm on? Temu. T-E-M-U. Temu. That's the link. They have all kinds of stuff, gadgets and stuff. Somebody had asked me about the top I had on, and I showed them where I got it from. Temu has everything. It's like Amazon. It has everything. All kinds of little gadgets and clothing and stuff like that. What I think about today's testimony, to the guy today, Dr. Dunmore, I think he talked about, As far as his testimony, he made sense, but my only issues with him, my only issue is with him, he needs some more scientific data that he used. Hey, pretty brown eyes. He need more scientific data. Because he got the education, he got peer reviews. All he needs more scientific data. And his methodology is not concrete. But see that prosecutor, she was asking him stuff about cases. To me, look, let me tell you something. I have so many papers that I've done with my master's programs, right? I don't remember the cases that I cited in my my papers. Do you guys remember stuff that you put in your papers? Nobody does, especially if it's been done a long time ago. Who remembers that stuff? Who remembers that stuff? Not everybody, especially if it's been so long ago. It was in 2016, 17. Who remembers that? I don't. We're in 2023. 6 years ago. I could barely remember what I did yesterday. You think I don't remember what's on my paper, in the paper? Even if I read it, I don't remember all the case. Hey, Natasha. Oh. Thank you, Black Beauty. That's my link right there for the aggravated. No, Natasha, my face hurt. Sinuses. I'm not aggravated. I'm just in pain. In pain, pain. Not aggravated, just pain. Ugh. Pain. Ashley reminded me about my mask. Ashley reminded me, and I just was like, okay, I'm gonna put my mask on. Yeah, I'm gonna put my mask on when I get in the house. Surely am. Y'all see me having my Jason's mask on tonight. And my face hurts so bad. Oh my God, Lord help me, my face hurts so bad. All right here hurts, y'all. All right here hurts. Sinus pressure. All right here hurts. Cavities of my sinuses. Guys, I'm gonna go put my mask on. So I am gonna put my mask on. Hey Sandra. Put my mask on. You know that feeling? You have sinus problem too? Well, you have to, it says you got to qualify for a discount. It says you got to qualify for a discount. That's not what it told me. It told me my people, whoever I put my link to, will get a discount. How you don't qualify? I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna ask them for my code. There's gotta be a code. Gotta be a code that I use. Yeah, they hey Toya. You try not to go outside? Oh, I try not to, but what I'm doing. No, Sandra, they're trying to qualify him as an expert witness in regards to rap, because what they're doing is they're putting rap in some of the overt charges. They put his music and a video that he has, that Young Thug has, as well as I think Yak Gotti too. They put in their lyrics as part of the trial. Oh, speaking. Oh, right. You know what, y'all? Listen to this. I have a treat for y'all. I got a treat for y'all. Hold on. I got a treat for y'all. Cause I think you said it better be a good treat. I'm gonna play something for y'all, guys. Now, this is the witness that's gonna come on the case. Dr. Eric Nielsen. He wrote a book on rap on trial, and I have the book. I have the book. It's about 6 hours, and I'm going to play some of it. This is who's going to be at court on the on Wednesday.
And Andrea L. Dennis with Killer Mike, Forward. Performed by J.D. Jackson.
Forward. It is difficult to overstate the influence of hip-hop.
Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear it? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Can y'all hear it? Okay.
The Black community, it has been particularly important. For one, it has allowed many rappers, myself included, to become successful.
me now? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh my God, I had to swipe up and come back up. Oh my Lord. Finally. Finally. Oh my God, y'all. I kept saying, can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? I had to swipe you up and then come back down. Lord have mercy. Whew, what was the last thing y'all heard? Because Dallas called me, that's what happened. Whenever I get a phone call, that does that. Whenever I get a phone call, it does that. Okay, that's the last thing you heard. Hi, how you doing? I had to go to the post office. All right, y'all ready to listen to the guy? It was Magic Mike that was, not Magic Mike. What's that Mike? You know the, Killer Mike. That was Killer Mike. I said Magic Mike. That was Killer Mike on the, thing. All right, now let's play it. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get him to play. Hold on.
Dollar industry. One that provides opportunities for upward mobility within communities where such opportunities are far too rare. At the same time, as an art form, it serves as a safe space where we can celebrate our blackness and each other and be comfortable in our own skin while we do it. It has offered us a kind of therapy as well, a place to express even our rawest feelings. And it has given us a way to say just things in unjust times. That's why police and prosecutors' use of rap lyrics in criminal trials is of such grave concern. Left unchecked, it has the potential to silence a generation of artists who are exercising their First Amendment right to express themselves. These are voices we should be encouraging, yet our criminal justice system has consistently looked for ways to punish them. As a kid, I saw the government try to criminalize the music of Luther Campbell and Two Live Crew for obscenity. I watched as the FBI and other law enforcement agencies targeted NWA for lyrics deemed too violent, too disrespectful of police. And I saw how police and politicians railed against Ice-T and Body Count for voicing the frustrations that many people in this country felt in the face of persistent police brutality. These are just a few examples of the concerted efforts by our government to silence hip-hop artists. And as a young man, the irony wasn't lost on me. As much of this was happening, I was in high school learning about the American Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which laid the groundwork for a republic that was, in theory anyway, radically different and vastly more free than others. That was when I first began to understand that American law has a duality, regarding people differently, not only based on race, but based on class and based on culture as well. On one hand, many artists from other musical genres, which can be just as dark and violent as rap can be, were being celebrated for their music, while rap artists were being vilified. And now we are seeing more and more examples where they are being prosecuted, sometimes for their lyrics alone. I am sometimes asked whether this is all a big misunderstanding. Is it just that police don't understand hip-hop, so they mistakenly view it as a threat? Are prosecutors treating violent rap lyrics as confessions of criminal behavior because they are simply ignorant about conventions of the genre? The answer is no. Hip-hop has become one of the most popular and influential genres of the last century. People understand it well enough, but prosecuting rap artists who are predominantly young men of color is politically expedient. Rap on Trial is a continuation of what former Vice President Joe Biden did in support of the 1994 crime bill, warning America of predators on the streets, young people without any conscience developing, who needed to be removed from society. The bill has been widely criticized as overly harsh and a major contributor to mass incarceration. It has been expedient for politicians on both sides of the aisle to make the least of us the heel, the villain, the arch nemesis of the established order. Often people don't care about what's just. They just care about order. They don't want it disrupted. And children from marginalized communities, particularly young men who call out injustice by saying, "Fuck government," are challenging the order that American society is comfortable with. Prosecutors know that locking up young men of color carries political capital, and they figured out a way to use rap lyrics to do it. Right now, aspiring rap artists need to know they are being targeted by the authorities, and they need to balance their right to free speech and their desire to push the envelope of free speech with the reality that police are watching. What scares me is that in some situations, such as the recent case involving Jamal Knox from Pittsburgh, a young rapper calls out police officers by name and directs threatening-sounding lyrics at them, and the courts use that as a reason to punish him. The court acts as though this kid just turned into a Navy SEAL-trained hitman who was going to look up these officers' addresses, go to their houses, and kill their families crime movie style. To those artists, I would say, you have to save yourself. Ask yourself how you can use your imagination to guard against this persecution while still pushing the line on speech. I take the law and order approach. Take real stories and events, but change them up. If the police officer's real name is William Bradley, then change it to Bradford Williams. Your imagination, which gives you the ability to express yourself freely, can also be used to protect yourself. So to younger artists, my advice is this: cloak your truth in some mystery, even as you keep pushing the line for absolute freedom of speech. In this environment, that's the best thing you can do. But we also need to change the environment that makes such measures necessary. That's what Rap on Trial is trying to do, first and foremost by giving historical context to the injustices that are happening right now. It is also giving name and voice to many of the people who are suffering as a result of those injustices. And I appreciate that, because Black men are too often our martyrs and messiahs uncredited. We are often lost in the pages of history. And this book is taking a small but meaningful step toward changing that. Right now, young men who sing and rap and rhyme are suffering for their ability to say what they want to. We all benefit from the artists who push the boundaries of speech. And so as a country, we should see a collective interest in protecting them. This is especially true for artists who criticize the state. Because once the state, which is supposed to be a representation of the people, is above reproach, we are entering Orwellian waters. That scares the shit out of me. For Black Americans, the stakes are particularly high. If you want to know how society is going to treat people under the law, look first at how they treat the most marginalized, the people that are in the minority. African Americans, the descendants of slaves, are the petri dish for what the law is going to do. If we don't hold the line on our freedom of speech and the right to express ourselves as artists, we will be the first people dragged off to jail. As this book documents, it's already starting to happen, and that's why I am in this fight. Michael Render, aka Killer Mike. Introduction. McKinley Phipps was something of a prodigy. Born into a family of artists and raised in New Orleans' Third Ward, Phipps always had a gift for words. As a boy, he began writing poetry, which he sometimes recited at local coffee shops. But by the late 1980s, as rap music was becoming a national sensation, he saw the chance to turn his love for words into a career. At age 11, he released his first video, rapping as Lil Mac. Then, in 1990, at the age of 13, he released his first album, The Lyrical Midget, featuring production from fellow New Orleans artist Manny Fresh, who would go on to become one of hip-hop's most celebrated producers. It was one of the earliest commercial hip-hop efforts to emerge from New Orleans. One of the songs from the album, I Need Wheels, captures the frustration that many children experience when they long for independence they can't have. Straddling the line between his aspirations and his reality, Lil Mac raps about needing a car of his own, even though he's several years too young to drive. And he claims to have women all across the city, even as he's begging his father to buy him a car so he can visit them. So daddy, buy me a car. I got too many girlfriends that live too far. And then every weekend, I'm stuck at home with this fine girl teasing me on the telephone. On the surface, it's a song about a kid who wants a car so he can meet girls. It's a song that teens from all walks of life can relate to. But it also speaks to the sense of being trapped that Phipps and many kids in the poorer neighborhoods of New Orleans felt on a daily basis. By 1990, the city was experiencing record levels of violent crime and had one of the highest Black poverty rates among large cities in America. As such, it offered limited opportunities for upward mobility to young Black men. So Lil Mac's fear that without a car he might be stuck at home would have resonated in a community where being stuck often meant being poor, in prison, or worse. Ironically, Phipps had already found the vehicle he needed to escape: rap music. His debut record not only rode the rising tide of rap music across the country, but also foreshadowed the rise of New Orleans as a hip-hop mecca, thanks in large part to the success of No Limit Records, founded by rapper Master P. At its peak in the 1990s, No Limit was producing albums at a dizzying pace and was expanding its roster to include the likes of Mystical and Snoop Dogg. In 1998 alone, No Limit released 23 albums and sold nearly 15 million copies. One of those albums, Shell Shocked, belonged to Phipps, now rapping as Mac. He had declined offers from bigger labels such as New York's Def Jam Recordings to join No Limit, and he was quickly recognized as one of the most talented lyricists on the label. While he never led a life of crime himself, Mac was skilled at producing the gritty, often violent lyrics that helped No Limit sell records. As Mac himself noted in a 2016 interview, "We're in this to make this money, and we're feeding a market that demands this type of content. At the end of the day, I wasn't walking around shooting people in real life, and I wasn't walking around selling drugs to people in real life. I made the kind of music I made because to me at that time it appeared to be the most lucrative route." After hearing the lyrics in Shell-Shocked, delivered by a rapper who sometimes called himself the Camouflage Assassin, listeners probably would have been surprised to learn that Mac had no criminal record whatsoever, and that he was in fact a mild-mannered young man who liked to read poetry and still called his father Daddy. Likewise, most people would have been surprised to learn that No Limit Records, with its stable of flashy artists who were rapping about guns and drugs, was actually a highly disciplined, tightly run business. Master P had an incredible knack for anticipating the demands of his audience, and he was able to meet those demands quickly, sometimes recording and releasing an album in just a few weeks. To make the No Limit system work, he demanded discipline from his artists as well, forcing them to stay as focused on the end game as he was. That end game, of course, was money, and No Limit was making a lot of it. By 1999, Master P made Fortune magazine's 40 Richest Under 40 list with an estimated net worth of $361 million. He was just 29 years old. While much of the country didn't know who he was or that his No Limit enterprise had grown to include a wide range of other businesses, he and the No Limit family were certainly well known in New Orleans. They flaunted their money and celebrated their success openly. When Master P bought a mansion in Baton Rouge's exclusive country club of Louisiana, next to former Louisiana Governor Edwin Edwards, many saw the improbable and inspiring rise of a black kid from the projects of New Orleans who had made it to the highest levels of power. But many others saw something different. They saw black men getting rich off a form of entertainment they considered an affront to traditional American values. And they saw a group of black men who weren't afraid to call attention to police harassment, abuse, and corruption. One of Master P's earliest songs, Crooked Ass Law, set the tone for subsequent songs from the No Limit label, which were sometimes openly critical of and defiant toward the police. In Running from the Police, a song by C Murder, Master P's brother, and No Limit label mate Mystical, C Murder raps, "Every time I see the boys in blue, I want to run and get the gun and start busting for fun." Perhaps unsurprisingly, No Limit artists often found themselves the targets of police surveillance and harassment. Just driving a short distance could be provocation for a police stop. In a recent interview, Baton Rouge rapper Lil Boosie, who now raps as Boosie Badass, also known for being critical of the police in his songs, spoke the way he and others were routinely singled out by police. One time, for example, police pulled Boosie over, and before letting him go, they threw thousands of dollars of cash across the freeway. Another time, they took a knife to the upholstery in his car, just to make a point. In that kind of environment, it makes sense that Master P and his artists would adopt military imagery in their aesthetic, most obvious in their penchant for camouflage clothing. Perhaps they saw themselves as soldiers in a culture war, with camouflage signaling their recognition that visibility can create vulnerability. No artist came to realize that more than Mac. On the night of February 20th, 2000, he was performing during an open mic night at Club Mercedes in Slidell, Louisiana, a small venue about 30 miles outside of New Orleans. A fight broke out in the tightly packed crowd, and a young fan, Baron Victor Jr., was shot and killed in the melee. When he heard the gunshots, Mac initially made his way to the back door before returning inside the club to make sure his parents, who were there collecting money for the performance, were safe. He drew his own legally registered gun for protection, meaning witnesses saw him with a gun in his hand, a fact that authorities seized on. They immediately identified Mac as the primary suspect and arrested him later that evening. The ensuing process was a nightmare. Numerous witnesses at the scene had described a shooter who looked nothing like Mac. The gun Mac was carrying hadn't been fired, and the police never recovered the weapon that had been. No other forensic evidence tied Mac to the crime. Another man even went to police and confessed to the shooting. Nevertheless, authorities charged Mac, who had no criminal record, with first-degree murder. At trial, they produced a number of their own eyewitnesses who, nearly 15 years later, recanted their testimony completely, revealing that prosecutors threatened to put them in jail if they didn't finger Mac as the shooter. One of them, a pregnant woman named Yulon James, was told she could identify Mac as the killer or have her baby in prison. The trial itself, taking place just weeks after the September 11, 2001 attacks, revealed just how damaging Mac's rap career was to his case. The prosecutor took great pains to depict him as the brutal character in his songs. Taking full advantage of people's fear and anxiety after 9/11, he intentionally repeated Mac's moniker, the Camouflage Assassin, a name inspired by Mac's love of kung fu movies, throughout the trial. And he quoted liberally from Mac's 1998 album. This defendant who did this is the same defendant whose message is, "Murder, murder, kill, kill. You fuck with me, you get a bullet in your brain," the prosecutor said during his closing argument. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that 1 + 1 equals 2. Jurors didn't know juxtaposing lyrics in a way Phipps never intended. Phipps was rapping about his Vietnam veteran father in the song Shell Shocked with the line, "Big Mac, that's my daddy, rotten dirty straight up soldier. You fuck with me, he'll give you a bullet in your brain." The lyrics do not even contain the line, "You fuck with me, you get a bullet in your brain," as the prosecutor claimed. And the line, "Murder, murder, kill, kill," is from a different song altogether. Louisiana is a special place. Aside from consistently vying for the title of America's and therefore the world's incarceration capital, until very recently, it was one of 2 states where jury verdicts didn't have to be unanimous to convict. The other is Oregon. In a throwback to Jim Crow, Louisiana permitted guilty verdicts even if up to 2 out of 12 jurors found a defendant not guilty. In November 2018, Louisiana voters finally passed a constitutional amendment requiring unanimous verdicts in all felony trials. That change would have led to a very different outcome for Mac. That's because even after the all-white jury was exposed to coerced witnesses and a barrage of mangled rap lyrics, 2 jurors held out. Today, that would have been enough to avoid a guilty verdict, but in 2001, it wasn't. Mac was convicted of manslaughter, a lesser charge, and was sentenced to 30 years in prison, a term he is still serving despite mountains of evidence that he was wrongly convicted. He refuses to accept parole because that would require him to admit his guilt first. Years after the verdict, the jury foreman revealed in an interview that the lyrics presented to the jury certainly helped inform their decision. The music, the lyrics, they played all that shit in court, he said. I don't listen to that shit, but the music might have been the problem. The rap got his mind all messed up. Was making it big time, somebody in a public place on the dance floor. You gotta think you're a bad son of a bitch. One might forgive Mac if he eventually succumbed to bitterness after serving nearly 20 years in prison for a crime he almost certainly didn't commit. But that's not Mac. Still gentle and mild-mannered, he has been a model inmate and a man with seemingly endless patience in a system that has been content to throw men like him away. In a telling postscript, in the years following Mac's incarceration, both C. Murder, Master P's brother, and Lil Boosie were also charged with murder. In both cases, authorities used or attempted to use their lyrics and rap images against them. Boosie was lucky. He was acquitted. C. Murder was not. He is serving a life sentence, even as the eyewitnesses against him, as in Mac's case, have recanted their testimony, claiming that police who were openly hostile to rap music coerced them all along. Former No Limit label mates C. Murder and Mac are now being housed in the same Louisiana prison. A reminder that in America's police culture, rapping can be a very dangerous business. Stories like these are playing out all across the country. With alarming regularity, young men are finding themselves in handcuffs, in courtrooms, and often in prison because of their rap lyrics. Rather than acknowledging that these lyrics are the result of creative license, the criminal justice system has effectively denied rap music the status of art, allowing police and prosecutors to present it to juries as autobiography rhymed over a beat, often with devastating consequences. No other fictionalized form, musical or otherwise, is treated this way in court. That's why we call this book Rap on Trial. It's not art on trial, it's not music on trial, it's only rap. From its origins in the streets of the Bronx, New York in the late 1970s, rap music has emerged into today's mainstream. Once an outsider musical art form predicted to have a short lifespan, rap music is now the most listened to genre in the United States. It has become part of a multi-billion-dollar industry, one used to market products as common and diverse as sneakers, soda, deodorant, internet service, clothing, food and alcohol, headphones, sports drinks, automobiles, water, and cell phones. With commercial success has come critical acclaim as well. Rap lyrics are included in numerous literary anthologies, taught at major universities, and acknowledged by even the most traditional institutions for their imagination and sophistication. In 2018, for example, Kendrick Lamar, one of rap's most commercially successful artists, was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in Music for his album, Damn, which the Pulitzer Committee described as a virtuosic song collection unified by its vernacular authenticity and rhythmic dynamism that offers affecting vignettes capturing the complexity of modern African-American life. Modern rap music is a rich, complex art form. Research tells us that listening to and creating rap music can be a healthy aspect of adolescence and young adulthood. At the most basic level, it can simply serve as a creative and entertaining outlet, but it also can facilitate identity development, support emotional intelligence, and provide a safe space for experimentation. For these reasons and others, hip-hop-based education become increasingly influential in secondary and post-secondary contexts. In many other contexts, social, educational, and clinical, hip-hop is a powerful therapeutic tool. And listening to hip-hop has been shown to increase youth involvement in social and political activism. For many youth, beyond just personal development, writing rap music is a way to make a living and advance their social and economic standing. Becoming a rapper is a legitimate professional goal, particularly for individuals who are otherwise shut out of the economic mobility game. Even those who don't become the next Jay-Z or Kendrick Lamar, two of rap's most successful artists, have a wide range of career opportunities open to them. Hip-hop is, after all, big business. Despite all these pro-social aspects, kids who produce or listen to rap are often viewed as dangerous or such perceptions can leave kids vulnerable. Consider Jordan Davis. In November 2012, 17-year-old Davis, who was black, was shot and killed by Michael Dunn and his three friends, who were playing rap music loudly into the station, adjacent to the boys' vehicle. Dunn allegedly said to his girlfriend, who was in the car, Davis, who was seated in the rear of the vehicle, no gun or defense, because David was threatening him with a gun or a stick, and he feared for his life. After 2 trials, Dunn was convicted of murder, and rap caused him to be demonized in the news media. In the early morning hours of August 9, 2014, 18-year-old Brown was shot and killed by white police officer Darren Wilson. Shortly after, on the day of Brown's funeral, a New York Times article about Brown painted a picture of him as a troubled youth and referred to him as no angel. The article chronicled Brown's alleged criminal history, drug and alcohol use, and even his residence in a community that had rough patches. To complete the picture of Brown's problems, the article described his interest in rap music. Brown reportedly had taken to rapping in recent months, producing lyrics that were by turns contemplative and vulgar. The article then quoted one of Brown's lyrics, "My favorite part is when the bodies hit the ground." Of course, there were softer lyrics in which Brown complained of deadbeat dads and doted on his stepmother, but those didn't reinforce the narrative of Brown as a monster. After the article was published, criticism came swiftly, and the author subsequently expressed regret over his choice of words. While this particular article may have struck a nerve, this was nothing new in the media or, it turns out, the courtroom. Many people know the stories of Jordan Davis and Michael Brown, but there are far more stories that people don't know, particularly those happening with little fanfare inside criminal courtrooms across America. In these spaces, judges and prosecutors routinely reject rap music as a worthwhile enterprise. They read lyrics without context, ignoring the artistic conventions and the prospect of personal gain that should inform their interpretations. Moreover, they regularly overlook rap as a normal, healthy, positive aspect of life. Defendants can simply enjoy or create the music without malicious motives, for fun, as a way to work through difficult emotions or experiences, to improve their personal or financial status. Instead, these judges and prosecutors seem driven by a desire to convict and incarcerate. Rap on trial is a dangerous trend we should pay attention to for several reasons. Most importantly, it contributes to society's ongoing willingness to target, incarcerate, and dehumanize already vulnerable Black and Latino men. It has disrupted the lives of countless young men, inserting them into the criminal justice system in a way that forever alters their future. What's more, the tactic is spawning a modern resurgence of the use of racial epithets and racial images in the trial process, a practice which has long been shunned, in the process undermining the legitimacy and fairness of the criminal justice system. Finally, rap on trial mutes a current generation of rappers who find themselves behind bars out of public view and may intimidate current and future generations of rappers who fear criminal justice consequences as a result of their lyrics. In the end, we aren't trying to convince you to like rap music. We aren't claiming that everyone in the pages to follow is innocent of every crime they are accused of. Our goal is more basic than that. It's to demonstrate that in courtrooms across the nation, people are being denied a fair trial in a particularly insidious way. Andrea first encountered this issue in the early 2000s when she worked as an assistant federal public defender representing indigent clients charged with federal crimes. Another attorney in the office had a client who was an aspiring rapper. The client had been charged with homicide, and songs he had recorded were among the pieces of evidence against him. That case was resolved with the songs playing little role in the outcome, but it signaled something alarming to Andrea. Fast forward to 2006, when she was a new law professor at the University of Kentucky in Lexington. A colleague mentioned that the Taquan Neblett capital trial was ongoing in a local courthouse. Neblett was charged with murdering a music store clerk during a 2004 robbery, and he was facing the death penalty. The prosecutor sought to rely on lyrics purportedly written by Neblett on the day of his arrest, weeks after the killing. So any nigga in the path to the flow of my cash will find that breathing is a privilege when taking your last. At trial, the prosecutor argued that the graphic and violent nature of the lyrics was a reflection of Neblett's soul and should be admitted to prove Nablett's guilt. The court rejected the argument and refused to admit the lyrics. After the jury convicted Nablett, however, the court admitted the lyrics during the capital sentencing phase. There, the prosecutor argued to the jury, just because you write lyrics doesn't mean they have true meaning. Johnny Cash have years. Nablett case. Andrea determined across the country, serving as an expert in more than a dozen of them. Clear that rap on trial was pervasive. He wanted to consider it systemically. That's who was one of the first scholars to write about it. For the last several years, he has frightening implications for our criminal justice system. Over the last 10 years, we have been seeking out and documenting cases of rap on trial. To date, we have identified approximately 500 from across the nation and in both state and federal courts. Finding these cases hasn't been easy. We found many of them through searches of legal case databases and media reporting. We learned of many others from attorneys who had pending cases and were seeking expert assistance. And, sad to say, some we learned of from attorneys who discovered our work only after they had a rap on trial case. We continue to look for cases, confident that there are far more closed cases than we have identified out there, and unfortunately, more cases coming in the future. We regularly hear cases in which prosecutors use a single rap video to indict various people who happen to appear in it, even if they were just standing or dancing in the background. If those cases ended in plea bargains, as many do, there are likely no online records to search because the case didn't go to trial. And if we're hearing stories like this routinely, we know that even with the hundreds of cases we have identified, there are far more we haven't. In the meantime, our current collection of rap on trial cases forms the basis for this book. Those cases reveal that there are a few basic scenarios in which prosecutors use rap lyrics as criminal evidence. These aren't rigid categories, and there's sometimes overlap between them, but they help conceptualize the practice. The diary. One of the most common scenarios occurs when prosecutors treat a defendant's lyrics as rhymed confessions. Take, for example, the 2012 trial of Alex Medina, a 14-year-old boy charged as an adult with first-degree murder in Ventura, California. Medina was an aspiring rapper, and in the course of his arrest, police seized his notebooks full of lyrics, as well as recordings he had made. At trial, the prosecutor claimed that the most violent lyrics in the songs were autobiographical journals containing numerous admissions of guilt. It didn't matter that the lyrics were written in verse and were clearly inspired by well-known rappers, or weren't even written by Medina. He had copied down lyrics to some of his favorite songs, which were then characterized erroneously as his own. They were presented to the jury as confessions of previous acts. In the end, he was convicted and sentenced to 25 years to life, the maximum possible. During sentencing, the judge called Medina a psychopath. Motive and intent. If the lyrics were written or performed by the defendant before the alleged crime, prosecutors have to change their argument somewhat. The lyrics obviously cannot be an after-the-fact confession, so prosecutors instead argue that the lyrics are evidence of the defendant's identity, motive, intent, or knowledge with respect to the crime. Take, for instance, a seminal case dating back to 1991. One of the earliest cases we've found involving rap lyrics as evidence, United States v. Foster. The defendant, Derek Foster, was caught by police at Chicago's Union Station transporting large quantities of drugs in suitcases. Foster denied that he knew the drugs were in the suitcases, but he did admit that a notebook he was carrying belonged to him. The notebook had rap lyrics he had written, which included the line, "Key for key, pound for pound, I'm the biggest dope dealer and I serve all over town." These were later introduced as evidence of Foster's knowledge of drug terminology and the drug business. He was ultimately convicted of possession with intent to distribute. On appeal, Foster's attorneys argued that the lyrics were pure fiction, consistent with popular rap at the time, and therefore never should have been admitted as evidence. But the Seventh Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals said they were admissible as evidence, noting that, in writing about this fictional character, Foster exhibited knowledge of an activity that is far from fictional. He exhibited some knowledge of narcotics trafficking, and in particular, drug code words. The court didn't consider the possibility that Foster learned these terms from popular culture the way many of us do. Foster is just one example of how rap lyrics are used as evidence of a defendant's mindset with respect to a crime. Other examples include cases in which songs authored by a defendant or even another person are used to show a defendant's gang associations, knowledge of firearms, knowledge of criminal activity, or involvement in other illegal activities. Threats. There's one final scenario in which rap lyrics are introduced as evidence, when they are considered threats. Unlike the previous scenarios in which the lyrics are used to establish the defendant's role in some underlying crime, in threats cases, the lyrics themselves are the crime. Here, police and prosecutors argue that rap lyrics should be understood as literal threats directed at another person or group of people. True threats are not protected under the First Amendment, and so they can be legitimately criminalized. Threats cases are a relatively small subset of what we found, but they have been growing over the last decade, thanks in large part to anti-terrorism laws passed after 9/11, but also to the growth of social media. In fact, the highest profile...
All right, guys, I'm going in now. I'm going inside the house. I'll see you guys in a few.